Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be taking a look at a scenario where civilization starts over. You're on episode 19. Last episode, a lot of exploration into Indonesia happened, as well as a lot of expansion. So, a new purple country formed up. The blue team took Sumatra, the green team took a little bit of Borneo. The Koreans colonized parts of Japan, and a new Japanese red team formed up. And the Koreans also took some of the Philippines and Taiwan. New countries formed up, as well as more countries expanded in Central Asia. Finland invaded the Kola Peninsula, and we had a little war over here in the Holy Norwegian Empire. For this episode, we're going to see some more interesting stuff, and some more stuff that will lead to the eventual collapse of the. Well, we'll just have to see. Anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at the British Isles. Now, these countries are all over here. They're all in an economical alliance. And remember, this is kind of like the Holy Norwegian Empire, where it's one nation, and it will form into that now. So, what am I gonna do for that? Hold on, I will just try to figure out something to do for that. So, I'm going to outline it with an orange outline. So, if it's bordering another country, we'll have an orange outline. So remember, this is all one union, okay? This is one union, and it's kind of like Austria-Hungary, but it's also kind of like the Holy Norwegian Empire. It's interesting, but this is technically one country, but also technically not. It's a political union. So this has just formed, and it is becoming friendly with some countries, like the Russians. So they will all of these five or four countries right here. They will all join the Russian military alliance, while this purple Irish country right here is gonna go ahead and join up with the Triangle Alliance for protection against the Diamond Squad. Anyways, coming over here to Greenland, we can see that more of the coastal areas of Greenland are being mapped out, and a lot of them are actually being explored. And eventually, these two areas connect up in this little Gulf Bay area right here, and they just start exploring a lot of Greenland. However, once again, it's very difficult to, as it still is pretty frozen up here. So Sweden will make a landing. They will make a landing in this part of Greenland right here. So there we go. Coming back over here, we actually see a formal, actual, real union between the Irish and the Welsh, which is kind of like Austria-Hungary, with two capitals. And these other countries are really, they're just planning to join this, and it could happen anytime soon. Maybe the next episode or the next episode after that. And maybe we could see a unified British Isles that is just a pretty big colonizer. We'll just have to see. Anyways, coming back to the Central Asian region, let's go ahead and see that this area is going to get divided up. Well, let's go. We have to see a couple more countries form until this does get divided. So, a pink kind of country will form up, and I don't like how that looks. Hold on. I actually changed it to this reddish color, but anyways, yeah. This red nation right here, they're going to go ahead and form up into a country. They're on the border of China, obviously. Then a yellow kind of country forms up near Burma, and they do form up. And then a blue nation on the border of the purple country. There are actually pretty much on the whole border of the purple country for some reason. People really don't know why. Not, I don't want them to get all that. No, only that. But anyways, let's go ahead and see the division of this Central Asian region. So this green team right here will only get this small portion of land. However, it does make sense. They don't really have anywhere to expand. This yellow country will get this big piece of land right there. While the black team gets all of this land, this is a great portion of land. However, it makes sense because they were a pretty small country, and in fact, they literally only have one province within them. So that's kind of sad. The purple team will get this large piece of land, and they will also get this large piece of land for here in the south. The dark red team will get all of this land, and their country is stretching down south. The pinkish red team will get all of that. While the green team will get these two pieces of land, which are pretty good chunks, and it kind of looks like they're trying to encircle that country that is right here. But they're not. That's just the land that they were able to get. Speaking of that country, they will get all of this land right here. In fact, I'm actually going to do this border a little differently. Hold on, I'll be right back. And there we go. And then the gold team will get all of this, a pretty good chunk of land. The blue team will only get this, but that's because not only are they now a very weak country, but also just because China is kind of bossing them around. The red team over here will get all of this land, another good chunk of territory. The northern Chinese country will get all of this land. That is a really good piece of land because, for the amount of land they could have got way more, but they were grateful to the red teams and even the blue teams. But let's go ahead and take a look at this piece of land right here. Well, actually, let's just take a look at what the yellow team gets. The yellow team will get all of that. Sorry for that long pause right there. I didn't know I was still recording. The green team will get this land. That's the only amount of land they could have got anyways. The red team actually gets more than they probably should have, as they get all of that land right there. And then the rest of it will go to the blue team. Now, you will notice that China is kind of they're once again they're a regional power. They're one of the most powerful countries in Asia. The purple team is actually the purple team is the most powerful country in East Asia. But, and anyways, the Chinese country is really they are kind of like not exploiting, but they're um what's the word? Influencing the smaller countries in the region, and they're actually doing pretty well with this. The Some of these countries now use the Chinese currency, which is pretty cool, and they will soon be to follow the Chinese religion. Anyways, the Koreans will eventually discover and explore all of the Philippine islands, and like I said, they will explore the waters around them. So there we go. That is a large chunk of land and islands that have just been explored. And of course, the Koreans will just go ahead and take all of the Philippines because there's really the only country that would maybe try to get that is the purple team, but they're more focused on the Indonesian Isles. But yeah, Korea is becoming a very powerful country now. Once again, they are in an alliance. So if you turn on the military alliances, there's just Trapezoid Alliance, and then there is the what's it called? The Cross Alliance. They don't like each other, by the way, if you couldn't tell. But now the provinces don't make too much sense. I'll have to update them after I get done with this video. Anyways, coming back over here to Indonesia, that's not what I wanted. More of these islands start to be explored, and not in that weird way. They start to be explored, and eventually a new nation pops up. This will be the last of the new nations that will pop up in Indonesia. And that is a lime country right here, who encompasses all of this island. It's like Sulawesi or Sulawi. I don't remember how to pronounce it, but I'm pretty sure that was the name of it. Anyways, here are the explored waters. Coming over here to Ethiopia, we haven't talked about this country in a long time, but let's look at the trade route layer. Yeah, so it's already went through the Ethiopia team, but the red team, who, if you don't remember, broke away from the Ethiopians, they promised that they would make trade routes through them and that they would send workers in, but they're not sending any workers in anymore. So the beige team is getting they're getting quite mad that they're not living up to their promise, and it's not looking good for these guys as they're getting invaded. Yeah, so the apparently Ethiopia really likes people doing stuff with them because they could have done their trade routes on their own, but no, nah, they just said it's too hard. So they launched an all-out invasion from each one of, well, everywhere. And they just start pushing around this country, which is fairly weak, and they even reach the capital and start sieging it, while another army starts to go over here and encircles a large portion, and all of the people here pass away. But anyways, the capital is taken, and they just start moving along the coast until the red team is going to go ahead and surrender. And let's take a look at this peace treaty. So, taking a look at this peace treaty, the red team will get all of these lands back, but the rest of these lands will go ahead and go over to the beige team, as they feel like they were cheated out. They didn't get the workers that the red team promised, And now the red team, well, they don't even have as much population, but they will still try to send workers to help Ethiopia out, involving their trade route to Kenya and then Tanzania. But yeah, Sudan is kind of like, dang, you just invaded like a already pretty weak country for your own stuff that you could do on your own, and Sudan starts to, not like this Ethiopian country. I mean, they didn't like them anyway because they were pretty expansionist, but they're still not liking them. Anyways, that is gonna do it for this video. I know it was a really short video, but I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.